Hi everyone, it's Catherine. Welcome to my channel, Read Journal Love. And today I wanted to share with you what I read in December and what I plan on reading in January. I read quite a bit, but most of them were short and children's books and comfy Christmas books. So yeah. The first one I read is back in September, I think. I did a buddy read of Fahrenheit 451. And we were at Barnes & Noble, my husband and I, and he saw this and I was like, I want it. Because I always enjoy, when I read a classic of some sort, I like to get to reward myself with the Classics Illustrated, and they don't really have a Classics Illustrated of this, but there is this graphic novel that was authorized by Ray Bradbury himself. And so I read this and it was very good. I'm not a fan of the art. I'm sorry to the artist, but I'm just not a fan of this art. But it was fun to go back, 3 months later and read the story again. And I'm finding that I kind of like dystopian. Odd for me. But yeah, there we go. I would recommend it if you like graphic novels, and I just wasn't a fan of the art. Then I read The Horse and His Boy, which is part of the Narnia. This is the third book in the list that I'm following, and I really liked this. I gave it 5 stars. I like that it kind of went away from the other characters in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, incorporated all of that, but you were introduced to new people. I like that. I love this story. I really like this one. It's not The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but it is right there with it. Then I read The Quiet Little Woman, A Christmas Story by Louisa May Alcott. I picked this up at a used bookstore here in town for a couple of dollars, and it's like 3 little short stories and just sweet Christmas read. And this is the first thing I've read by Louisa May Alcott, and I enjoyed it. Then I'm going down my list here. Then I read Prince Caspian, which was the next on my list for Narnia. And this one I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, but it just wasn't the last 2. But I loved the story, and I just love being in Narnia. These books, y'all. I think this is my favorite series now of all time. I love it. Then I read, like I said, I like getting to reward myself for reading a classic. I like to get the Classics Illustrated, and I've read A Christmas Carol like several times, but I've never got myself the comic, and I was like, well, I got to reward myself. So my husband ordered me the Classics Illustrated of A Christmas Carol, and I enjoyed reading this, and I did like the art in this one. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. And then I read, and then because of everything about that Mary movie that Netflix is coming out with, or has put out, that I wanted to go scope. I've been doing some research, and so I was like, well, I'm going to go straight to this source that they took supposedly most of the story for that movie from, and that is the Photo Evangelium of James. And yeah, I mean, I can say I read it and whatever, but I wouldn't recommend reading it. It was real short, it's like you're reading a book of the Bible, but it's not. And but yeah, I can say I've read the original source now. And then I read The Importance of Value of Proper Bible Reading by Reuben Torrey, and this is a classic Christian book on Bible reading. I thought that would be fun to read to kind of like prepare myself for going into January with my biblical studies challenge, and I'm glad that I read it. I thought that he hit on a lot of parts of hermeneutics, without necessarily calling it hermeneutics. It's kind of a basic beginning thing. And so I really enjoyed reading that. I'm glad that it was available on Hoopla. And then I read, my husband and I we were doing some Christmas shopping, and we went to this like little craft mall thing by our house that I've always wanted to go into. And I said, well, here's my opportunity. My husband was willing to go, and we needed to get Christmas presents. And so we went, and there had so many little cute old books and a lot of kids ones. And one of them was The Barbie and the Rockers. And growing up, my sister had so many Barbies. She was all into Barbies. And I mean, I was okay with them. It wasn't really my thing, but the rockers, now I wanted to be a rocker. So when they came out with those, I was like, okay, now I can play with these. And so we had the van, and just like looking at the pictures of them and their hair and the clothes, and they had the van, and it was and the guitars, you know, so 80s. It was from 87, and it just took me back, and it was so fun. So I gave that one to my sister. And then my husband saw this, or did I see this? One of us saw this. Clueless. A totally classic picture book. And this is 90s. This was 90s for me. Like, there was some things about the 90s, and this is one of them. I love this movie. And as you know, it's kind of a modern retelling of Emma, Jane Austen. And but look, y'all, I mean, this is tamed down from the movie. It's for kids. It's for like little itty bitty kids. But doesn't she look just like them in the I got to show you the one, Amber. Remember Amber? She was kind of the mean one, you know. I got to show you the picture of Amber, because she looks just like the lady in the movie. Isn't that just, it's so adorable. I love it. This dude was my favorite. Does that surprise you? Okay, so I read that and thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I read Winter Fire, Christmas with G.K. Chesterton. This was my Advent read this year. I really, really enjoyed this. It was like, it had several things in there, but the daily reading part had like a part from one of his works, and then the author would kind of expand on that and explain a little bit more. And then there was some like a verse from the Bible that corresponded, and then there were some reflection questions. And I thought it was all very good. I love the look of this. I love the inside. The images are like, some of them are real muted every day, but they're just real vintage Christmas. And I really liked this. And I found that I really liked Chesterton. He was funny. He was funny and yet so wise. I mean, he was like Santa in a way. So I want to read more by him. If you do too and you want a better read, comment below. Then I read, this was part of a group read that I did. And this is Dickens at Christmas. So it has 5 novellas that Dickens wrote about every Christmas, and then it has an excerpt from the Pickwick Papers and a bunch of like just Christmas essays in the back. And so overall, I gave this book 4 stars. And then the separate, like the Christmas Carol gets 5, and the Chimes I gave 4. I really enjoyed the Chimes. And then they just kind of went down from there. And I'm not sure if it's just I was getting a little burnt out on Christmas Dickens or what. So I definitely want to go back and read the last 3 again, and at another time down the road, to see if I gained something else from those, fresh and not having had read so much of it already, you know? So we'll see about that. Then I read on my Kindle the 450 from Paddington by Agatha Christie. And I went ahead and did this as part of my project for 2025, but it's around the holidays. It's set around the holidays. And so I wanted to go ahead and read it. And I like Agatha Christie. This is the 4th book I've read by her, but I don't think I'm a crime reader. I love mystery, but I don't know if I'm so much a crime reader. Like, some of that was kind of getting to me, and I don't know. So again, I'm exploring, and maybe that's something I came across about myself, is like, I like mysteries that don't revolve around that. So then I read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This was for one of my personal projects, my 5 Bigs by 55. And so this is Little Women and Good Wives in one book. And so I don't know if that's always how it is, or like, because my husband, in the one he read a couple of years ago, it only had the first portion of this, the Little Women part. So maybe that's why, and he was like, why is Little Women on your 5 Bigs? That wasn't a very big book. And so now I'm thinking, I don't know, does it always have Good Wives with it? Because if not, I think it does, because I really enjoyed that part. And I liked Little Women, but the Good Wives just kind of added so much more to it, I thought. I don't know. Like I said, this is only the 2nd book now I've read by Louisa May Alcott. I definitely want to read more. But y'all, this book is one of my favorite books now of all time. I have decided I'm a Jo. As I was reading this book, things she would do, I was either, yeah, I've done that, or that's exactly how I would have reacted. She was a writer, she was a reader, she was a theater actress, well, not as profession, but in her family, she was a theater person, and all that's me. And I just and so I was like, I don't know why I thought this, but I was like, I wonder what her Myers-Briggs is. So of course I go on the internet, and of course they have a thing about it, INFJ, just like me. So yeah, I'm Jo. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know who you are down below, who you relate to more of the 4 sisters. I love that book. I will definitely be rereading it. And then the last book that I have finished in the month of December, The Prisoner of Zenda. Oh my goodness. I loved this book. It was hard to come off of the Little Women, but then I went right into this, and I really liked this. This is quite the swashbuckling romantic adventure, and it's very short. My question was, William Goldberg, who did The Princess Bride, did he like this book? Because it's awfully reflective of The Princess Bride. You've got swords, right? You've got a romance, a princess, you've got a villain, 2 of them. It's just so many things. I was like, man, I'm really getting Princess vibe feelings from this book. But this was written in the 1880s or 1890s. So it was definitely pre-Princess Bride. But I loved this book. It was so fun to read. And so then this last Saturday night, we rented the movie on Amazon, and the one from the 30s, which has this scene in it. And I liked the movie too. I was like, why haven't I heard of this book? This is Catherine Core. This and this are Catherine Core. But if you have not read The Prisoner of Zenda, and you like that kind of stuff, I would recommend it. It was so fun. So fun. Okay, so that's all I read for December. I can't believe I've gone this long. I'm going to have to do some editing, cutting stuff out, because I'm just jabbering on. Okay, what am I planning on for January? I've already started this, but I need to finish Holy Care for Whole Self. And the subtitle is Biblical Wisdom for Mental and Spiritual Well-Being. One of my projects for 2025, I'm calling Vintage Ladies. And so I picked these certain women from the 10s to the 50s, 60s that I want to read more of, because I've heard so many people here on YouTube talk about them that I watch, the channels that I watch. So one of them was Phyllis Whitney, and I picked this one, The Winter People, and I thought, well, first of all, it's got winter in it, so I got to read it, now, because I like to seasonal read. But I thought this first paragraph was very kind of moody. It felt like winter. I was asleep, and then I was awake, listening. I could hear the snow hissing at the windows, hear the storm behind it, and the rushing sound the wind made through the pine trees. But the sound that had wakened me was inside the house. A key had slipped into a lock. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm really looking forward to that. It says a romantic suspense novel. And then this is the one I've been so excited about. We got it in November, and I have been so excited to read this book. And I'm sorry to say that I have given in, and I am almost halfway through. It is called The Messiah of the Cylinder by Victor Rousseau. This was written in 1917, and this I am reading for the challenge that Alma's doing, the Journey Through Time, and I'm doing the sci-fi, the Christian sci-fi theme for that. I made that for myself. And so this was written in 1917. This is one of probably the first Christian sci-fi, but we got it on eBay, and I want to show you. This guy took such good care. He has this nice cover on it, and it's been taken so much good care of. It was written in 17. This is the first edition, so this is antique. And he dated this when he got it, 1948. And look, y'all, this guy has these little book tags that he put in here. I'm going to cover his name, but look, isn't that the coolest? Yeah, I just really like that. So that was stuffed in here. I mean, the man took very good care of this book, and I am enjoying it. I really am. And it was said to be sci-fi, and there is a lot of sci-fi to it, but it's also very dystopian. The part that I'm in now feels a lot like a dystopian, and I don't want to go too much into it, but they were dealing with things at this time in around 17, that time between, well, they were dealing with things, and I feel like they've come back to light again, and they were dealt with in this book as part of the storyline. So now he's come into this new world, and everything's very dystopian, and he's trying to prove that he's trying to tell him, I'm from back in the day, that's why I don't have my number, and I'm wearing this certain suit, and they're not believing him. And supposedly there is this prophecy that at the certain year, when the guy comes, that this Messiah is supposed to come and save them from this tyranny that they're living in this dystopian world. And so I'm suspecting they're going to start thinking that when they realize that he's from 1917 or whatever, that he is this Messiah. And so therefore we have the Messiah of the Cylinder. Anyways, I'm really enjoying this book, and I went on Goodreads, and it only had 3 people talking about it, but they weren't very good. But I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's not a 5-star read, but I don't know. To me, so far, it's a 4-star read. I just keep wanting to read more and more and more. There's no lull to the story. It is very, very action-packed as far as that goes. I mean, yeah. So I'm reading that. I'm going to finish it. And that's for Alma's challenge. Then for my challenge, I am going to finish this book, which is my biblical studies challenge this month for January, is Hermeneutics. And I'm going to finish Taught by God by Brandon Smith. And I'm really enjoying this. It's a lot about the first century church, a lot about old church fathers, and so I'm really enjoying it. But I just read a little bit now because it's not quite January, you know? So I've just been kind of dabbling it. Then we went to the thrift store and they had this book there, y'all, for $3, An Introduction to Biblical Hermeneutics, The Search for Meaning. I went through it, and doctrinally, there are things I'm not going to agree with this person about, but I think it will be good for like just basics, you know? So that's all I'm going to be reading. I'm going to read these 2 books for my hermeneutics challenge. I'm going to finish this for my Christian sci-fi challenge. I'm going to start this and finish it for my vintage ladies challenge. And this is just to help what's going on in my head. So, of course, then I'm going to be doing my Bible reading every day. I'm currently in Romans and we'll be moving into 1st and 2nd Corinthians. And yeah, this is going to be a very long video. So it's probably going to be choppy after I edit this all out. I hope everybody has a wonderful New Year's, and let me know down below if you have read any of these books. Anything you want to buddy read, just let me know down below. Okay, bye.